Alright, so we're going to start our new unit on multiplying whole numbers. So for our first topic, we're going to be looking at the different properties of multiplication and how we're able to solve things just using like regular math problems. So we have several different properties. We have the commutative property. The order of the factors can be changed, but the product stays the same. So in multiplication problems, if it's just multiplication, you can switch stuff around all you want and it's not going to affect the outcome of your problem. This comes in handy whenever you're trying to do things later on in math, just remembering that you can switch things around. The next property is the associative property. That means that you can change the grouping of the factors, the product stays the same. So if I take 2 times 5 and do that first, that's not, and then multiply it by 3, that's not going to change if I take 5 times 3 first and then multiply it by 2. Both of those ways work equally as well, and you can put different things together. Again, only whenever it is multiplication only in a problem. Then you have the identity property of multiplication. That's whenever you multiply any number by 1. The product is going to be that number. So if I take 5 times 1, that's 5. If I take 1,000,000 times 1, that's 1,000,000. Anything multiplied by 1 is going to be itself. Then you have the zero property of multiplication, and anything you multiply by 0 is automatically going to be 0. So you could have 100 multiplied by 0, that's going to be 0. You can have 600 multiplied by 0, that's going to be 0. You can have 1 multiplied by 0, it's going to be 0. So that is the zero property of multiplication. So if I were to go about matching these different properties together, I want you to think about it right now. Go ahead and stop the video, look at what we have here, and decide which property would be each one of these. Okay, let's resume. So looking at this one, the 5 times, and then I'm putting these two together, and then I'm doing that together, that is actually going to be the associative property. It's what numbers I'm associating together. I look at this one, 24 times 32 and 32 times 24. So that's me just basically like switching it around. So it's the commutative property. 537 times 1 is 537. That's the identity property. And 563 times 0, that's going to be the zero property. All right, next one. So take a look at these, and I want you to figure out what would actually go in these little boxes here. So take a second, stop the video, try it out for yourself. Okay, so 2 times 5, we use the commutative property, and we know that underneath there would be a 5. Now if I look at this one, 7 times 15, then times 4, or we could go 4 times, what should be under this one? 15 times 7, those will be equal. Alright, this one, we see that it comes out as 0, so there's got to be something in this box to turn it to 0, and what turns stuff into 0 in multiplication problems? Zeros! So there is a 0 under that one. Alright, let's try again. So go ahead, stop the recording, and try it out on your whiteboard. Okay, so I have 3 times something times 8. Now if I look at this, 3 times 12 times 8, what's missing out of it? That would be our 12. Now we look here, we have 44 times something, and it ends up being 44. What can do that? Well, that's 1. I have 156, and the outcome is 0, so I know that that has to be a 0. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. What you're going to be doing today is you're going to be doing page 64 through 65, number 14 through 32.